back to East Coast Wagering. We're a week away from the Belmont Stakes and what's typically a fantastic undercard on both Friday and Saturday. But this weekend we have a great card as well at Churchill Downs, where we have 6 total stakes races, 2 of which are grade 3s and the Regret in Arlington. Today I'm going to look at those races and give a middle and late pick 4, which is made up almost entirely of stakes with one interesting optional claimer thrown in. The first race in the middle pick 4 is race 5, and it's the grade 3 Regret Stakes going a mile and an eighth on the turf for 3-year-old fillies. And it looks like we may have a standout in this field in the morning line favorite at 7-5, the number 3 horse McKulick, who you see here in her last out in the grade 2 Edgewood, which she came into off of a 7-month layoff. But she looked very strong in that race and had a powerful finishing kick. She just wasn't able to get clear until after the eventual winner, New Year's Eve, had already made her move and was clear of the field. The added 16th of a mile should not be a problem because it looked like she had a lot left in the tank. And since this is her second race off the layoff, we should expect her to probably move forward off that effort. And if she does, I think that she probably wins this race fairly easily. The other horse that I kind of like in this race, and I'm going to throw into my pick 4 as well, is the number 1 Walkathon. Walkathon's 2 for 2 since switching to the turf, with the last being a win at this track and an $80,000 optional claimer, non-winners of one other than. In that race, she was keyed up and fought restraint almost the entire first quarter, but she still prevailed easily in that race. I realize this is a move up in class for her, but besides McKulick, it appears that this race came up a little on the soft side. So if McKulick doesn't have her run, then I think we possibly could get a little bit of value in this one-horse Walkathon. The second leg of the middle pick 4 is race 6, and it's the only race between these two sequences that is not a stakes race. It's an $80,000 optional claimer for non-winners of one otherland going a mile on the dirt for 3-year-olds. And I think this may be the most interesting race on the entire card. I think it's completely wide open, and there's a lot of horses that have a chance here. I'm actually going to take a big price as my number 1 selection in the number 10 horse Volcanic, who ran an absolute dud in his last out in the Bluegrass Stakes. Here he is in the grade 3 Sam F. Davis 2-back, where he did get third with a nice speed figure after running wide throughout that entire race from the 10 post. This horse does not look like he's probably grade 1 material, so I think that you can kind of toss out that last race based on the competition he was running against. Some much more classy horses than he's facing in this one. This field looks like it has an overabundance of speed, and I think that helps this horse as he did have late interest in that race, and he has shown that in other previous races as well. The connections obviously think highly of him as they had him run in the grade 1 hopeful before he even broke his maiden last September. And my second pick in this race is the morning line favorite at 4-1 Emirates Road, who you can see here last out in his attempt on the Derby undercard, where he actually finished 7th, and he finished behind eventual winner and 3rd place Preakness finisher, Creative Minister. In that race, he was bumped and forced out leaving the gate from the 12 post, essentially taking him out of the race early, as speed held pretty well to finish 2nd and 3rd behind Creative Minister. And since he was out of it early, he pretty much had no chance in that race. I think the plethora of speed in this field sets this one up perfectly based on the way that he scored in his maiden victory 2-back, and his running style could possibly get him across the wire first in this one. Like I said before, this is a very deep field, so I'm going to go quite deep in the pick 4 in this one. In addition to those two, I'm going to add the 1-horse Strava, who ran reasonably well in his last out in the Lexington. I'm going to add the number 2 Durante, who I think is going to be the pace setter, and even though I do think it's a quick pace, sometimes things don't happen the way you think, and this horse should be the one on the lead. I'm going to add the number 3 Sacred Samarai, who had a nice win to break his maiden last out. I'm going to add the number 6 Awesome Aaron, who also is coming in off a maiden win, and I'm going to add the number 12, who's the other horse in this field that does not typically show early speed, and if the pace falls apart like I think it's going to, this horse could pick up the pieces as well. Race 7 is the third leg of the middle pick 4. It's the Shawnee Stakes going a mile and a 16th for fillies and mares 4 and up on the dirt. And it looks like there's going to be a heavy favorite in this one in the number 5 horse Pauline's Pearl. She's 3-5 morning line, and I think it's rightfully so. You might not even get her at those odds, to be honest, as she does look like she's probably the horse to beat in this one. Here she is in her last out in the Grade 1 La Troyenne, where she actually beat 3 of her 5 competitors in the field she faces this Saturday. She sat a bit off from the pace that was a slow pace set by the post-time favorites She Dares the Devil, and slowly whittled down that lead throughout the stretch to prevail by half a length. It seems like she's getting better each start, and I think a duplication of that last out effort gets her the win this time easily, as none of these other entrants in this field have shown nearly the class of the one she beat there. The placement here is a little interesting, as there are some races on the Belmont undercard which she probably could have entered in as well. Maybe the connections just love the way she handled the Churchill track last out and decided to stick around for this race. Like I said, Pauline's Pearl looks like she's probably the one to beat here, but I'm going to go too deep. I'm going to try to get a little value, and the only horse I think that really looks like she possibly could beat Pauline's Pearl is the number 4 horse Army Wife, who's coming in off of quite a layoff. You can see her here in her last out, the Grade 2 Falls City, which was run over 6 months ago. Prior to her layoff, she was running against the top fillies in this division, and she does have some great back form. In the Falls City, she disappointed a bit, where she was on the lead with the eventual winner, setting very soft fractions, but had no late kick and she faded to 4th. Maybe she didn't like the slop, or maybe she just needed some time off, but her previous form makes her competitive here, and she has got that time off that she may have needed. The presence of some other speed in this race, I think, will allow her to stalk, and it looks like stalking is probably her preferred running style. So getting back to that stalking and coming in off the layoff, I give this horse a little bit of a chance at a little bit of a nice price. And the final leg of the middle pick 4 is also the first leg of the late pick 4. It's race 8, the Grade 3 Arlington Stakes, going a mile and a 16th on the turf for 4-year-olds and up. Both horses that I like the best in this race are coming out of the same race 2 back in the Grade 3 Tampa Bay Stakes, which you see here. My top selection is the number 2 Floriform, who was 3rd in this one at a nice price, but couldn't get running straight until deep stretch, where he almost caught the number 4 here in this race, Smokin. I love his last out, where he won against non-winners of one other than in an April allowance race for $120,000 by setting off a soft pace and sweeping 5 wide to win impressively as the favorite. This is an improving horse who has run well in all 5 of his turf attempts and should run a big one here as well, in my opinion. And as I mentioned, my second choice is the number 4 here, Smokin, who's also coming out of this race, the Tampa Bay Stakes, who I think could be the pace setter as he was in the Tampa Bay, since he likes the lead and drew inside the other possible speed horse, in my opinion, the number 6 Gray's Fable. He ran an absolute dud his last out in Dubai, where he finished last of 16 horses, but many horses don't take well to that track, and perhaps that race was too short for him, as he is 2 for 2 with a win and a second at the mile and a 16th distance. I'm going to add in the number 5 Field Pass as well and go 3 deep in this race with the 2 Floriform, the 4 Smokin, and the number 5 Field Pass. The second leg in the late pick 4 is race 9. It's the $200,000 Aristides Stakes, going 6 furlongs on the dirt for 4-year-olds and up. And my top selection here is the number 5 horse Bob's Edge, which you can see in his last out, where he finished 4th behind the possible division leader, Jackie's Warrior, in the Count Fleet Sprint Handicap, where he set well off a blazing pace, but could do no better than 4th, though he did make up a ton of ground in the stretch. This is a much softer spot, and he looks like he's probably the one to beat here based on his prior 2 races to the Count Fleet. The concern is that there isn't much speed in this race, and he likely will need to sit closer to the pace than he has in his last couple to have any success of his late kick getting him the win. But he does have some back races where he was able to sit closer and get the victory. He has 4 wins at the distance, with 2 of them coming at this track. My other horse that I like in this race, it's my second selection, is the number 4 Necker Island, which you can see here in his last out in the Knicks Go on the Derby undercard, where he ran evenly down the stretch and didn't have much excuse except that he wasn't a bit tight around the far turn. One of this horse's best performances came at this 6 furlong distance at this track, and he has 5 wins in 10 attempts at Churchill. As I mentioned before, this does look like a bit of a soft spot, so I like this horse's chances based on the distance cutback and his success at this track. I think this is a little bit of a deep field, and I think a horse is going to have to take a step forward to win here, so I'm going to throw in 3 others as well. I'm going to add the number 2 Miles Ahead and the number 6 Top Gunner, who both should show early speed, and maybe the number 2 will run better than his last attempt, where he had a trainer change, which he does have another trainer change here, but it doesn't look like this horse wants to run for any other trainers than Eddie Pliza, which he's had massive success under. In any case, I'm going to throw both the 2 and 6 in there because they are going to be the likely speed, and I want the speed in case one of them doesn't run and the other one holds on. I'm also going to throw in the number 7 Jalen Journey, who's reuniting here with Ricardo Santana, who has rode this horse before on numerous occasions. And out of the last 3 times that he's rode Jalen Journey, he's won all 3 of those. So I like this horse at a big price. And the second to last race in the late pick 6 is race 10. It's the Blaine Stakes, going a mile and an eighth on the dirt for 4-year-olds and up. And we have 3 horses coming out of the same race in this one. The grade 3 Ben Alai, which you can see here. My top selection is actually coming out of that race, the number 6 Scalding, who was the eventual winner. That race was his 4th straight victory, and in each one of those races, he has progressed from a speed figure perspective. I think if he takes another step forward in this one, he's going to be very difficult to beat here. I think he's going to get a nice pace set up, as he typically runs close to the lead, and this race really doesn't have any real front runners. He draws inside the favorite, number 8 American Revolution, which could help him in as well in what I expect to be a bunched up field, because I think that saving ground could help this one compared to the morning line favorite. And speaking of the number 8, he's my second choice in this field. Here you see him here in the Cigar Mile, his last out. He's coming off a greater than 6 months layoff after that Cigar Mile. He won in that particular race, but it looks like he actually prefers longer distances. It took him a little bit to get rolling in the stretch in that one, and even bumped the 3rd place finisher before surging to get up late. He only has 1 loss in his last 6 races and is 3 for 3 in the money at this distance with 2 wins. In fact, he's 5 of 7 lifetime races. So those are my top 2. I'm going to add one more here. I'm taking a little bit of a chance. I'm going to throw in the number 3 Title Ready. I think that this horse does seem to be rounding back into a form lately. His last couple efforts have been half decent. I don't know that he can win here, but I love his morning line odds of 8-1. And if he does take a big step forward and we don't have a nice run from either the 6 or the 8 here, I think this horse has a little bit of a chance. So I'm going to throw him in there and try to take a chance, because if he hits, that could really juice this pick 4. And the last leg of the late pick 4 is race 11. It's the $200,000 Audubon Stakes, going a mile and an eighth on the turf for 3-year-olds. My top selection here is Grand Sonata, the number 2 horse, who you can see here last out in the grade 3 Transylvania. He's coming off a 2-month layoff after that race, where he did finish 2nd. I think in this one, he could get a perfect stalking trip out of the 2-post, as the 1 never shows any speed, and I think it could give him a nice rail run with what I expect to be a likely slow pace. In fact, the pace is really the big question here. None of these horses really look like they want to grab the lead typically, and a lot of them like to stalk. So I think that the 2 horse is going to be sitting close, and this is going to be a little bit of a bunched up field, I think, possibly. And my second selection is the number 8 horse, Summer Anthem, which you can see here breaking his maiden April 29th at Keeneland, where he was patiently ridden in 2nd place, well off the cheap speed, and exploded past into the stretch, turning back multiple bids from others to prevail by about a length. He gets a trainer change to Mike Maker, who has been very successful this meet, and though he moves up in class, he certainly fits here based off his last out speed figure, which ranks 1st among those entering into this race. I think this is a wide open race, and I think the fact that that it doesn't look like there's any horse that really wants to grab the lead, with possibly the exception of the 11 who's trying the turf for the first time, is kind of the wild card in here. He could gun the lead from that post because he has shown speed on the dirt before, but it's tough to say what he's going to do as he's never raced on the turf before. As a result, I'm going to add 2 other horses to the number 2 Grand Sonata and the number 8 Summer Anthem. I'm also going to throw in the number 7, who, if the 11 doesn't go, he could possibly inherit the lead. And I'm also going to throw in the 10, who I think is going to be close to the pace and could get a nice run if he doesn't get caught wide out of that 10 post. So to sum it up, here's what I like for the middle and late pick 4. In the middle pick 4, in race 5, I'm going to start off 2 deep with the 1 Walkathon and the 3 McKulick. In race 6, I'm going to go with the 1 Strava, the 2 Durante, the 3 Sacred Samarai, the 6 Awesome Aaron, the 8 Emirates Road, the 10 Volcanic, and the 12 Stellar Tap. In race 7, I'm going to go with the 4 Army Wife and the 5 Pauline's Pearl. And to finish it off in race 8, I'm going to go with the 2 Floriform, the 4 Get Smokin, and the 5 Field Pass. The total for that sequence would be $42.50. And in the late pick 4, I'm going to start off with those same 3 horses, the 2 Floriform, the 4 Get Smokin, and the 5 Field Pass. In race 9, I'm going to go with the 2 Miles Ahead, 4 Necker Island, 5 Bob's Edge, 6 Top Gunner, and 7 Jalen Journey. In race 10, I'm going to go with the 3 Title Ready, the 6 Scalding, and the 8 American Revolution. And I'm going to finish it off in race 11 with the 2 Grand Sonata, the 7 Smokin Tea, the 8 Summer Anthem, and the 10 Speaking Scout. Also here I'm going to show you my selections for the first 4 races on the card, which don't make up the middle or late pick 4, but I still want to give my picks in case anyone's interested in what I like in those races. I think there is a little bit of value to be found there. So here's what I like. I like in race 1, the 1, the 3, and the 5. In race 2, the 6, the 3, and the 7. In race 3, the 3, the 6, and the 5. In race 4, the 3, the 5, and the 7. Well, that's what I've got for this weekend at Churchill. Those are my picks for all 11 races. I think there's some value here, and I think there's some nice prices that could really possibly juice a couple of these pick 4s. Maybe we can hit one or the other, or maybe even both. Hit the comments section and let me know what you think. Are there any horses that you see that could possibly blow this thing up for me? And also, let me know how you do this weekend in the comments section. If you hit one of the pick 4s, maybe the pick 5s, or maybe a trifecta or superfecta, whether it be at Churchill or another track. I'm interested to hear how you do. Please remember as well to like and subscribe, and share this video with others that may be interested in this kind of content. Again, this is Jeremy Pielmeyer for East Coast Wagering. I appreciate you watching my video, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.